All right, back for another beer review, and today I will be reviewing a beer from the Moody Tongue Brewing Company, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Caramelized Chocolate Churro Baltic Porter. So this is a Baltic Porter that is brewed with cocoa nibs, caramel, and vanilla beans. Comes in at 7% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. I have no idea how old this bottle is. There is a really long code on the bottom of this bottle. And usually when that happens, I can decipher some kind of a Julian date and figure it out. Couldn't do it with this one, but I did pick this one up in mid-September, back in mid-September when I took a trip to the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Considering I'm reviewing this in early December, this is at the very least 2.5 months old, probably 3 months old, and honestly, it's probably way older than that. It's probably 4, 5, 6 months old, but this is not super fresh. Hopefully it's not super old, but I've been wanting to try this one for quite a while. I remember seeing this for the first time back in like 2015, 16, somewhere in that range. And yeah, it just sounded really good. And back then there weren't as many pastry stouts and crazy beers and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I want to try it. Never got my hands on it. Saw a bottle of this one and I grabbed it. So here we are. Anyway, I'm going to crack this one open. I love me some Baltic Porters. That came off way too easy. Was not expecting that. And, you know, you're talking about, you know, cocoa nibs and caramel and vanilla and going for a whole chocolate churro vibe and whatnot. Caramel should be fun to try. I'll go like that for now. So, pours out. Yeah, pretty dark in the glass. I would say more of a dark brown than a pitch black. On camera, probably pitch black, but in person, more of a dark brown. Has about a half finger of this, I'd say light brown colored head, looking relatively creamy. Looks like a nice Baltic Porter. Let's get a nose. Ooh. They don't mention, I mean, when you're talking about churros and stuff, cinnamon. Might be a little bit of cinnamon in here. Definitely chocolate, vanilla, touch of caramel, but cinnamon is pretty big as well. Yeah, it definitely has churro vibes to it. The chocolate isn't as pronounced as is the caramel isn't as well. This is more of like the cinnamon and more of like there's like a breadiness. I'm getting more of like just a straight on churro vibe. Touch of like a roasted malt character, hints of coffee. Yeah, I would say nice bready like malt component. A little bit of roastiness from the base porter, the Baltic Porter, cinnamon, and a touch of vanilla, underlying hints of like chocolate and caramel. Chocolate isn't as big in the nose. But man, it smells pretty good. I would base it, I'm basing this on, again, they don't say cinnamon, but I have to imagine there's cinnamon. There's a cinnamon in here, for almost positive. The cinnamon is actually quite pronounced, so I'd imagine this is relatively fresh because I don't feel like if this was 6 months or older that the cinnamon would be the star of the show, and it is. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice beer. Getting some cherry in here as well. First off, body on this one. It's thin. It's 7%. It's a Baltic Porter. I don't expect the world, but this is like lower side of medium body. The mouthfeel has a nice carbonation to it. Slight soft smoothness, but more carbonated than I anticipated. Not that it's wrong for the style, just for me, I was thinking this might be a little bit more on the softer, smooth side. But the taste, this reminds me of just like a nice base Baltic Porter. There's some slight roasted malt, coffee, touch of like a baker's chocolate, pass through the palate. The vanilla, caramel, and cinnamon kind of intertwine. And I'm getting hints of like a churro. It was more prevalent in the nose, like it just screamed churro in the nose. In the taste, not as much. The cinnamon's a little bit lost in comparison to the nose. More of that vanilla and caramel come to forefront in the middle of the palate, but it's not really intense and bold and boisterous flavors. It's just very subtle. Continues on to the back of the palate, finishes semi-dry, slight residual sweetness, low bitterness, and yeah, that's really it. There is an ever so slight tartness on the back of the palate. Now, does that mean this beer is turning? It could be. I remember seeing, maybe it was a year or two ago, a couple people on tap saying that, of my friends trying this, that they had infected bottles, and it was just like, you know, straight on sour, typically, you know, when you get an infection like that. And this has ever so slight hints of it. It's not really distracting or deterring me from the enjoyment of this beer. It just feels like if I had sat on this for another 3 to 6 months, this would probably be a mess of a beer and turn into like a sour stout. As is, I like the flavors. I want more chocolate. I want more caramel. I basically want more of everything in here. The nose was screaming cinnamon. It had a nice churro component. In the taste, everything is so dialed back and subdued. It's more like you take all these flavors, the caramel, the chocolate, and churro aspect, and just dial it back like 50% from the nose. It's very easy to drink. I'm getting a little bit of that dark cherry to midway through the palate. And like I said, there's a touch of like, not even sourness, just like a touch of tartness in the back. I do feel like this bottle is turning, so maybe this isn't, like I said, the freshest, but it's also not, completely infected or anything. It just has a touch of it. As is, I can rate it on the flavors that are in here, and that's the best I can do, but I think it's good and I enjoy it. So I'm going to give the Caramelized Chocolate Churro a Baltic Porter from Moody Tongue. I'm going to give that a low 3.75 out of 5. Go 3.65 out of 5. It's a good beer. I enjoy it. I feel like if I reviewed this one 3 or 4 months from now, I'll probably get like lower than a 3.5. I think this is going to turn at some point. 7% alcohol by volume. Really not getting any really warming, maybe an ever so slight touch in the chest and on the palate, so that's nice. I just think this is a well-made Baltic Porter, but you're using the adjuncts that you are and you're calling a Caramelized Chocolate Churro Baltic Porter. I just want a little bit more of all those adjuncts. I think they're a little bit flat in this one, which is why I think it might be an older bottle at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if this is at least 6 months old. That said, it was on the shelf. I grabbed it. The date is kind of hard to decipher, so it is what it is. 3.65 out of 5 for this beer. Price and availability. I don't know the availability of this one outside of that. I'm pretty sure this is available throughout the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, probably Ohio. Well, I think I picked this up in Cincinnati, so definitely in Ohio. So they're probably in a handful of states. Price point on this one, I don't remember what I paid for this one. I don't think it was much more than like $3.50 for this bottle. I want to say a 4-pack of this was in the $12 to $14 range. I don't think it was much more than that. Could be wrong, but I don't think I paid more than like $3.50 for this bottle. So availability and price point is fine, but yeah, I'm a bit disappointed. I just wanted a little bit more intensity to the adjuncts. It didn't happen, and dems the brakes, as somebody would say. That would be this guy. Anyway, if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. I'd be curious. This is probably a polarizing beer. I don't know how prevalent like the infections are. Like I said, I saw about a year or two ago. In fact, one of my Untapped friends had it and got infected, and they actually sent him a fresh 4-pack of it, and he didn't really care for it much more. I don't think it was sour anymore, but he wasn't a huge fan of it. So I think probably very polarizing beer for me. Pretty good, but I would like to try the super fresh just to see if there's any differences. Anyway, take it easy. To the next one. Cheers.